This is one Fresno resident's story, worthy of recording and sharing. Magdalena Nagy is now in her 99th year and has been here in the Central Valley for over 6 decades. Born in Budapest just after the First World War, her life chapters are interesting to family and friends, but also provide a story for all of us. In this first segment, we will hear about Magdalena's earliest childhood memories.
My name is Magdalena Nagy. I was born in Moson St. János, and after 2.5 years, my parents, we all moved to Budapest, and that was my residency from then on. And I loved it. Budapest was my city. That was wonderful to grow up in Budapest. And in Budapest, I went to different school, and I started the elementary school on Kisvábhegyi Iskola. And Kisvábhegyi was very famous from the Waldorf school name. I have a darling sister. She was 5 years older than me, and a brother 4 years older and me. We were 3 in the family, and a wonderful mother and a caring, wonderful father. My parents, they were very, very hardworking, both of them. My father was very hardworking. My mother was also hardworking, cooking very good dinners and cleaning all the time. The house has to be spick and span, and we just supposed to come to the back door so we don't drag any mud or dirt into the house, because she was so clean, and I believe in that also. That was just so necessary. I found these memories of my father when on Sunday he took me always to the Városliget, that was the name of it, and on the way he always bought me sosperec, which one was so wonderful, and also the wonderful midnight mass when he took me over the Lánchíd going to the Basilica, and the snow was so beautiful, white snow, and it was freezing cold, but we went, we went zu Fuß to the church, and those memories are so nice with my father. My sister was so sweet to me always. She always treated me just like a little sister, and she was so kind to me all the time. My brother was also good to me. Here and there he made a little bit joke with me, but that was all right. They both were very good to me, and they sometimes thought I was a little bit spoiled brat. I remember first house after we came to Budapest. That was the first house that was in the Sziget utca in Pest, on that side of the Donau, and that was a real big house. We lived on the 4th floor, big, very, very big, four or 5 bedrooms, and then later on, that rent was, I think, so too expensive, and later on, my parents moved away from there, and then we went to the Csalogány utca on the Buda side, and a smaller apartment house, and then we lived there until I remember I got married. Oh, during the day, I remember my mother took me shopping, and I remember that beautiful bakery, which one I always was so happy to get, because they had the most best sóstangli. I went with my sister also to walk, or when I was already older, sister and I went together to swimming pools. We went to the Császárfürdő all the time. She was always sunning and I was always in the pool. She cared always just sunning, and I was in the pool, and we had a great time. In Budapest we walked most of the time everywhere. We never used the streetcar, just if we were really tired or if it was raining or something. But we walked everywhere. Was sometimes changes, I think so. The situation was not so good, and sometimes I remember my mother did some lunches. There are some office people came for lunch to the house, and she made a little bit profit on that one, because my mother loved to cook. She was a very, very good cook, and she did that for a few years until she couldn't do it anymore. I think that was for her to making extra money, but then I think so she got too much problem on her feet, and she couldn't do that any longer, and then she gave that up. Her father was a very successful merchant in Moson St. Janos, but he sold everything out, and with money he came to Budapest, and unfortunately, which one I actually never really know how it happened that we got poor. And then later on he got hired by the Frank Cafe, which one was a substitute to make the coffee even nicer. That was Frank Coffee, and he's supposed to sell that over. He has to be a salesman for that type of coffee substitute, which one goes with the regular coffee.
After family, it is school that Magdalena remembers. She was fortunate to have enrolled in a brand new international school, the initial Budapest branch of the Germany-based Waldorf schools. Although the school was not far from home, Magdalena boarded full-time, thus getting the academic plus personal education that the Waldorf system espouses up to today. She stayed at the boarding school until she was 13 years old, when the school was closed, due in part to the rising antagonism of the German government toward the international thought that was taught at Waldorf schools.
My early education, I remember the wonderful so-called Waldorf Schule, which one was on the Kisvábhegy in Buda. It was a wonderful place, a beautiful big internatus, and we were about boarding there about 20, 30 children, and then one also those children who were coming only to the school, the daytime children, because we slept in that boarding school, but we had to go up to the school a little bit higher on the mountainside. Went to Waldorf school, I think from first grade or even a little bit earlier, or first, or maybe just second grade, that I am not so sure anymore. But I stayed there until my 13 years, because from there on I went to the public school for the fourth public year. Every subject I liked, everything I liked in the Kisvaphegy. It was just wonderful. We studied in German and in Hungarian, both languages, but mostly in German. My favorite subject was always arithmetic and also some kind of artwork, which one we called Műhelymunka, where I could saw with a little seesaw or made a nice box, and then with a hammer on a copper I could make an ashtray, and those things are so interesting and made me happy to progress and do something about them. My special student was, my girlfriend was Rapolti Edith. I know her father was a sculptor, and sometimes when we went through Budapest, walked through Budapest with the school, then we could visit the sculpture place, and we visited how nice he did all his work. That was a very nice area. That was so special to go there. And we also went through the Lánchíd, and sometimes we got also on the way some ice cream or something, but we had all kinds of strolls to Budapest, and we went up on the Sikló to the Vár, and we had all kinds of experience. They took us many places also for a walk outside of the institute. And in the winter time, there was just in the walking distance a little, we call it rate, where we could go snowboarding, or no, not snowboarding, that's called sliding with a sled. But my big question was, I didn't have my own. I always had to just piggyback with somebody else when I get lucky to do that. Yeah, there was also summer school, and in the summer school we were always taken, every Thursday we were taking for Ausflug, going someplace, because at that time our own basin was always emptied and refilled with water, and because we had a little swimming pool, a very old type of swimming pool at that time, in that age, and we went going to very beautiful swimming areas out to Csillaghegy or Békés or Rudasfürdő or Széchenyi-fürdő or Gellértfürdő. Those were the beautiful Strandfürdő where we were taken every Thursday, because our swimming pool was emptied and no water in it. So the students have lots of fun. Yeah, we had to get up, we had to eat breakfast, then we had to go to school and stay there. And in the lunchtime they brought us some men from the downtown brought us up some sandwich bread, and that was our lunch up there. And then after the school was over, then we came down back to school, back to the internatus, then we get lunch, and after lunch was a little bit Ruhepause, and then pretty soon we started to learn, study, and also we had to go outside and play. And my best entertainment in playing outside was the hopscotch with my girlfriend Edith. We always had the same place on the same corner of the house, and we already had the hopscotch that we played. For breakfast was a roll and coffee or cacao, and for lunch was always soup and and vegetable and meat. I don't remember too much on salads. Maybe salad. Yeah, road coal was the salad. Beets, yeah. We had lots of beets all the time. And sometimes then we had also milk rice or milk grease. That was very often. We had all kinds of games every night in the area, which one was our place where we ate was our big room, and we had all kinds of, we played musical chairs, then we played sitting around and say words to each other, and then we had to find out what the words was, and all kinds of different things. And there was a wonderful counselor, his name was Herr Schulz, and he always made us Schattentheater. I don't know how that is called English. Yes, he made all the figures himself, and he played, and the figures made all the stories. And behind that, he told all those stories, and we laughed and giggled, and that was always the fun time. And we always begged Herr Schulz, play some more, please play some more stories. And then also was very favored when it was already springtime and we all got behind the big trees. There was a big area where the dirt was very fertile and very good, and everybody had this much garden. And that was mine, and that was my garden. And we got all kinds of samen, seeds, radish, onions, and all those things we could. And we had a copper, asho, and garabia. Everybody had her own. Oh, I love that. Oh, when we are going to the garden, we could do that. It was February, the springtime starting. We could do that. We had to put all those things. Each day we could go and see. And we thought, no, tomorrow it's already growing. Tomorrow is already. So sure, everybody had pulled up. It's not was grown, but the garden was very soon empty because we couldn't wait, you know. We couldn't wait to harvest the vegetable because the onions was not ready, the radish was not ready. I said, I told you you should wait. The Fräulein Bauer said, why don't you wait? We told you so. But it looked so good, We couldn't wait. But anyway, that was our thing. In the garden, we could do this thing. Then in the the back garden had one more thing was so important. Way in the back, there was 3 or 4 huge, beautiful walnut trees. And those walnut trees was so perfect also to climb on it. We always loved to climb on it, although it was said not to do it. But we still did it, you know. Sometimes we got punishment. Why did you do that? You ripped your this, you bumped your head, you do this, you did. But anyway, and then when came the pecans or the nuts, then we always pick them up from the floor or pick them up raw, and we break them open, and it was still raw, but you could, the inside even do that. Oh, those were so good. And it was said, no, no, but we still did it. And we got so many punishment, and we still did it. Du hast wieder das gemacht, das darfst du ja nicht, blah, 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 blah. And in the summertime when we were there, that was just the saddest thing. Each afternoon in the summertime, we had to go to sleep on the bed, on the meal, just to rest for 2 to 4. And that was such a waste of time, what I think today. And we're supposed to be moist and still. We're supposed to. And for dinner, that I forgot. For dinner, there was a gong. There was a gong, bang, bang. The whole yard heard it. And that was always, wherever you are, you have to come in. When it was gongattak, when we said gongattak, we flew like the flies in, yeah. Wash hands and go to the dining room. Wash hands and go to the dining room. And then was a certain thing. We had, how you call this? We had Serviettentaschen, a napkin holder. And the napkin holder, we was taught that we had to crochet on it or make our name on it, but not with pencil. Yes, we had to sew it, our name. And that belonged to us. Now, can you imagine? Today we cannot believe that, but each one had a serviette, and that cloth napkin was only washed once a week, and that had to be always who was the napkin duty that week had to always collect it, put it back, and see, when you sit down, your tasche with the napkins had to be on your left side. And then you take out the napkins, you put it here. And when you are finished, then you close it, put it back, and the collector puts it on the place. And before the dinner, she passes it out. And now with my thinking of today, there is 2 big mistake what was never done. The one thing was after breakfast we had to go straight to the school. They never told us go and brush your teeth. That was not said. We straight to go to school. And those napkins were never washed, just once a week. Then the kitchen helper, they did all those type of work, changing to going down to the cellar, to the washrooms and all those things. Yeah, those were the olden days. We had to make our beds, and every Tuesday we had to also take off our clothes. I don't know when we have to put it to the end of the bed, which one should go to the so-called hamper or whatever. And there was already laid out the new clothes, new underwear, underpants and the T-shirt. Yeah, I had to. Once Fräulein Walbar came in and checked all the Schubladen in the nightstand, everybody's nightstand, and left it open. And then she said to the girls, "How come just only Dooley's nightstand is in order? Why can you do that? Dooley go out in the garden and stay there and play over there. Everybody stays in and fixes up his nightstand." And then it was so interesting. I didn't know when I was in the yard where to put my hand, because I know they saw me from the window, and I felt so awkward that I am only in the yard by myself, and they had to do all those. And then from then on, I was the inspector. I supposed to go and look for the nightstand if they are in order. And sometimes I help them to organize it a little bit and so on, because I didn't want to I wanted to like me, not to dislike me.